try to be very succinct, but I'm going to say something I think is very, very important. For many years, it's been the belief of almost everyone in India that Sanskrit is the source of every important thing in Indian culture. We see this tendency today even stronger than maybe we would have seen it a few years ago. Sanskrit is glorified and almost deified everywhere one looks nowadays in India. A language should not become a cult or a religion, and Sanskrit is a language. And Sanskrit needs to be studied. But the thing that almost no one knows in South Asia is that India has two classical languages. No one will deny Sanskrit is a classical language. But how many people are willing to accept that Tamil is a classical language? Now, the fact is that without Dravidian, there can be no Sanskrit. Sanskrit started out from the beginning in the oldest Vedic literature, which is almost 3,500 years ago, started out with Dravidian words, Dravidian syntax, and Dravidian sounds, phonology. It borrowed all of these things from the Dravidian speakers who were in India when the speakers of Sanskrit slowly came into the Indus Valley. People don't know this, and they don't realize that Dravidian is one of the bases of language in all of India. But let's go beyond that, because if Tamil is a classical language, then Tamil must have had some effect of its own on Indian culture. Now, this is something, again, which very few people know about. Even Tamils don't know it very well. The fact is that the great works of Sanskrit literature are indebted, deeply indebted. In fact, in many ways, they spring out of the Deccani Dravidian culture of the South, of which Tamil is the oldest example. If we look at Sangam literature, we find many things that became everyday later in Sanskrit literature and spread all over India. The Meghaduta, which was translated by my student Srini Reddy over here, is indebted to the messenger poems, which we see first in Sangam literature. But beyond this, then let's take things further. Let's look at the development of bhakti in India. The bhakti works of Tamil in both Shaiva and Vaishnava, especially the Vaishnava Divya Prabandham, both of them drew heavily on Sangam literature and Sangam themes. Subsequently, these ideas that were in the Divya Prabandham especially were borrowed into the Bhagavata Purana, and they spread all over India. And the fact is that without Tamil, there would have been no Chaitanya in Bengal, and I would suggest no Tulsidas Ramayana. At the very basis, Tamil, Tamil is, as a classical language, has become one of the two cornerstones on which Indian culture and civilization have been erected. But this is something which few people know, because Sanskrit is treated with too much reverence, and Tamil is treated with too little reverence, except by Tamilians who love their language. So, what can happen to change this situation so that people have a more balanced view of what Indian culture is? And my suggestion is this. Tamils have done an amazing job of investigating, doing scholarship on their own literature. This is one of the great and amazingly and extraordinary accomplishments. But the work that they have done is all in Tamil. Other Tamils read it. People outside Tamil cannot read it. So how is anybody going to know about the greatness of Tamil literature and its importance? My suggestion is this, that Tamil scholars need to become broader in the future. The great work for Tamil, in Tamil, much of it has been done, not all of it, and that has to continue. But at the same time, Tamil scholars need to learn other languages. They need to be fluent in English, because English is the language that people communicate in across boundaries, as we all know. But they should also learn another language. Let some of them learn Sanskrit well. And let them learn Sanskrit not to prove that Tamil borrowed from Sanskrit, but that Sanskrit borrowed from Tamil. Let them prove all of this, so that the importance of Tamil can gradually people become aware of how important Tamil is. I'll just end with one thing. Srini, one of his accomplishments, and he has many, has been to translate the great Telugu poem Amukta Malyada into English. Amukta Malyada is by the king, the Vijayanagara king, Krishna-Devaraya. And what Srini points out is that this entire poem, which is the greatest work in Telugu, is based on the Andal story. And it is, and the whole thing happens in Tamil Nadu. And all the ideas are from Tamil. So instead of looking north and talking about the Vedas, Krishna-Devaraya is looking south and hooking into the Tamil Veda, the Veda of the Divya Prabandha, which incidentally is considered as sacred as the Sanskrit Veda by the Sri Vaishnavas. But this is only the beginning. There are so many ways that Indian culture is indebted to Tamil. And every Tamil should be proud that their language is one of the two classical languages of India, and that it is indeed a cornerstone of all Indian culture and civilization. Thank you.